You know what's funny is that a radio host can do a video like this, but do just the audio version. He can sit here and read off his notes, smoke in the background, drink, do whatever he wants, wander off from the microphone while somebody else is talking, like I'm about to do. Well, of course I have nobody else talking. So what was my point? This video is, as I started making this, I was thinking about how I have these notes, and I was just listening to a podcast earlier, and I heard the guy say, oh, let me check my notes real quick, and I was thinking, now, the convenience of that option. I say things on here that I don't mean to say sometimes, or I have to group things into all these categories that are totally unrelated to try to explain them. And most people just don't care, about a lot of these things, but I feel like by talking about them, I'm vocalizing it, getting it out there. And, just a little while ago, I was writing down some stuff, and I really just thought I'm just gonna read off parts of the list to just get it out there, get it off my chest. I came up with this quote earlier. It says, forget everything you have learned, so you can remember everything you've always known. And I posted that on Facebook earlier, and I hardly ever use Facebook, really, but lately I've been posting a couple of things, and trying to, trying to get a little positive reaction out of some of my friends and people I know who may have not had such a positive experience with life, or people who post negative things, So getting across to them is important to me, not to rub it in their face that I'm a happy person, but to say, you can be happy too if you choose. Actually, somebody posted something earlier about, it was a meme, and it said, people always tell me that, that you can do it or something, but then they're not there for you. And I was saying, only you can be there for you. It's like one of those things that, we want others to be there for us, and we can be let down, but sometimes that's just not the reality. We have to find our own way. It's painful. So what I mean by that is remembering everything you've always known, remembering your child mind, remembering the root of who you are, without letting other people tell you this. But so I'm just going to read down some of the things that I was thinking today. The mental coordinator can and must be distinguished from the ego. I listen to a lot of Manly P. Hall, or used to, and still do now and again, and he talks a lot about the mental coordinator. Now, in Indian lore, or rather, from India, if you want to talk Hinduism or Buddhism, any of those practices basically have components to them which discuss seeing the self, observing the self. And many ancient philosophies talk about, being the observer, watching yourself act. When I'm talking on the camera right now, I'm observing myself talk from the outside, not through the camera, but trying to see myself. And if I say something that I feel false with, the other me says bullshit. So it's important, but a lot of people they want to abandon their ego, and they don't realize that there's the id, there's the super ego, and people need to use their ego in order to get around in life, to function. It's not that you need your ego to get one over on other people, it's just that you need your ego to prevent other people from getting one over on you. Being outspoken is the only way to keep people from taking advantage of you. So, don't think ego is a bad word. It's not. What else did I write? If a thought causes a bad physical reaction, it's not a positive thought. Oh man, how true is this? I notice it when I go to respond to somebody who says something negative on YouTube, or if I read down a list of comments, it shows all the comments that I have, and then I see a person that makes my gut wrench, oh, I don't want to talk to that, or that person. I know that they're responding to something that an argument maybe that we've had, and usually arguments are productive, and discussions anyway, or good arguments are productive. But I find myself responding to people who don't deserve responses. Like the other day I even said that. I said that just doesn't even deserve a response. And of course I got a long response about, oh, that's because you don't have a response. And then the ego kicks in, and then I have to respond and say, oh, you want a response? I'll give you a response. Meanwhile, I'm observing myself doing this and thinking, why am I using my energy for this? It's just silly. So, if you feel in your heart that something you're saying or doing or about to do or about to say is feeling your heart or your gut in a certain way, trust your heart and your gut and watch what you're going to say or do. A little line at the bottom I wrote, don't fail at friendship with you. You know, people are always trying to make friends with everyone and make sure that they have friends and that they're loved, but they don't love themselves. If you don't love yourself, people aren't going to love you. People are going to walk all over you. Even the people that love you and that want to see you do well, if you beat yourself up, they're going to beat you up too. I've seen it happen to so many people, great people, that just don't like themselves, and so others treat them the same. It's very important to like yourself for who you are. And if you don't, really look at it and say, do I do anything that's really worth not liking? Or is it just my behavior that I feel is wrong, or I don't fit in? Fuck fitting in. Be an individual. Fitting in is just... okay, it's important to be part of the social norm. You know, you don't want to be an extreme outcast, but be an individual, for God's sake. So, this is totally off subject. What I wrote was, isn't everything? The Earth goes through periods of fertility and sterility. During sterile times, or bad transmutations, mankind has a more difficult time finding and holding the truth, or discovering things. Our time is fertile for materialism, yet sterile for spiritualism. Note the planetary arrangement and be aware of proper time for seeking and for society. That's a really awesome thing to me, because I've been studying ancient astrology, which is basically just astronomy in ancient times, but the connections to planets and to our birth and how we relate to that. I have a big ass thick, you know, astrology charting book, and I've gone through my charts, and they're pretty damn amazing. And I don't know how the ancients knew what they knew about the typical personality types. I don't know if, I mean, I can imagine over thousands of years and millions of people being born and noting behavioral characteristics of certain people and figuring out when they were born. I mean, this could be a practice that went on for a long time, and maybe they just said, wow, these people who are born in November seem to have certain traits that are like this. And they figured out these, you know, astrology charts. I don't know how it worked, but I'm a Sagittarius, and goddamn, I'm a Sagittarius. And I was listening to Manly Hall earlier talking about times when the Earth goes through fertility and sterility, and that the human race will go through periods just like that too. That can be spiritual and physical on different levels. In other words, there can be times when humans go infertile. There have been cases where entire groups of animals have just ceased to produce babies, and they don't know why. And as we discover more about this, we might find that the planetary arrangement does cause a certain magnetism which affects our DNA, maybe. I mean, these are all just possibilities, not science. But thousands of years of astrology, it's really hard to dispute the connections and correlations between personality types and birth charts. Never 100%, but fascinates me. So I'll wrap this up with the last thing I wrote down. Mesmer. Machinery was a catalyst for mind. Power is mental, not mechanical. Mesmer was the fella who mesmerized, was named after him. Mesmerized is being mesmerized, put into a trance or hypnotized. And Mesmer believed he was using a device to put people into these trances. The reality is that it was his own intention. Now, I was having actually a discussion with someone earlier about orgone energy, and they were defending these orgone pyramids, which are made with these shavings of aluminum and whatnot in them. Pretty looking little things that are claiming to, I guess, increase the energy in your aura, whatever they might do. Basically something that, you know, they may absorb this energy that we can't measure. And I've asked how they work, and I don't get a really good answer. I went back and researched Wilhelm Reich, which was the creator or inventor of the idea of orgone energy. He created an orgone accumulator that you get inside, and it's supposed to heal many things. Well, now people are making little resin blocks and selling them online for however much, and claiming that they, do the same thing. I looked into it deeply and found that there was no evidence to support it. So I've been discussing with people there was a website, or a video rather, on YouTube where somebody was saying that it's all BS, and then somebody called them a shill and said that they're, just spreading, disinformation. And I said, it's not a shill, it's just people who are concerned about others who are being taken advantage of and having their money taken. And, a couple people were defending orgone energy, saying, well, it is true, and if you just try it, you experiment. We ended up not arguing, but discussing it, and I said, I believe that the energy is in the intent of the individual. If you believe that that orgone block is channeling your energy or channeling energy to you, then you're manifesting that. But the same thing could be done with a pile of newspapers or a bag of rocks or a crystal. It's all the power of the individual. Now, of course, this is my speculation. I'm not only speculating that the energy is in the person, I'm speculating the energy exists at all. But I do believe in the power of intention healing and whatnot. What brought this about was that a guy the other day was presenting, I made a video a couple days ago about this guy who was claiming to heal with scalar energy. He was using this device that you put somebody's photograph in and then it would heal you. Now this guy claimed that it not only disassembled all the negative things in your body and destroyed all the bad things, but it assembled over 280 nutrients in your body. So I asked him personally, how do you do this? And he says, oh, well, it just assembles them through some sort of, technical jargon. And I said, what is that? And he wouldn't answer. At first I thought the guy maybe just really believed this was working, but I found out, I'm convinced that the guy's a charlatan. He's a liar, and he knows he's lying. And on his website, he's like, healing for Jesus and yada yada. And I'm thinking, this is what makes me a skeptic. It's calling out people on things that are not necessarily true. But the idea is not to prove that everybody's a fraud or a liar, because a lot of them really believe what they believe. It's a matter of letting people know that the power's in the individual. So me dissing somebody who's claiming to have a machine or an orgone generator, me saying your machine doesn't work and that it's not the machine, is no different than me telling a Christian the power's not in the bishop or the church, it's within you. Too many people are going to New Age tools and physical things. Now, I'm just going to leave you with this one thought. If there's truly a way to connect to God or the greater mind, or to build energy within the body, to charge your chakras or raise your vibration or whatever you want to call it, if it's really possible to do that, it will require absolutely no external substances and no material objects. And that's my opinion. It won't. And that means you don't need to take drugs to get there, nor do you need to have a rock or an orgone thing. Anything that you can do without stuff. As far as like seeking truth in the universe or awareness. And I tell you, mushrooms really help getting there, but if you want long-term results, it has to be done without a machine or anything, because you're relying on that device as like a crutch. That's kind of my goal, is to just find a way to bring myself to a happy state of meditation without using psilocybin, or bring myself to a psychedelic state without using psilocybin or LSD. And honestly, as often as I talk about psychedelics, I rarely do them. Only once or twice a year, usually, and I'm very cautious when I do. But we're not talking about psychedelics here. Not yet. Have a great night.